ever looked at beautifully watercolored die cuts and thought, there's no way I can make that? Well, I'm here to prove to you that you absolutely can, because in today's video, I'm sharing a super easy and beginner-friendly way to watercolor Altenew die cuts that give you soft, vibrant results without needing advanced techniques or years of experience. If you've been wanting to try watercolors but felt intimidated, this card is the perfect place to start. Plus, I'll also be sharing an exclusive promo code later in the video so you can save on some crafty goodies. So stay tuned and stick around until the end for that. So let's take a look at the products that we're going to be using. So the die set that we're going to be using is the Craft a Flower Open Peony. This is an older set, and these are all of the watercolor tubes that I have. I don't think I use all of them, but I will go through the colors that I have. We'll start off with the green. I've got Phthalo Green here. Then I've got Opera Lemon. The red is the Toluidine Red. Then I've got Quinacridone Violet, Prussian blue, and then phthalo blue, which is like two different colors of blue. The Prussian is a bit darker than the phthalo, I'd say. Now, in terms of watercolor paper or cardstock, you are going to want to use watercolor cardstock. I've got some of the Artistry by Altenew watercolor cold press cardstock here, and all I'm doing is I'm using that cardstock and I cut all of the pieces for the flower for the open peony die set out of here. All I need is one flower because this is a nice large one. And then for the leaves, I actually cut a few of the leaf fronds because actually I think maybe 6 or 7 or 8 of them, because I really want to fill in the background of this flower with the leaves. So let's start putting down our paints. I'm particularly using the Phthalo Green for the leaves. I've got Quinacridone Violet for the petals, and I've also put down a little bit of Phthalo Blue, which I mentioned it's more like a royal blue. I've got Opera Lemon for the center of the flower, along with a little bit of the Toluidine Red. Okay, so now I've got to start mixing my colors. I don't really want the red. I want like an orangey peachy color. So I'm going to grab some of that yellow, and you can see I ended up using a lot of the yellow because that red is really, really red. So you're going to need quite a bit of that yellow to kind of orange out the red that we've got there. So I'm mixing a whole bunch in there, and at the same time I'm adding some water in there as well. Now I don't want like a vibrant burnt orange here. I want like a peachy color. So I'm also going to bring in some of the titanium white here just to lighten up this orange a little bit to more of a peachy hue. So I'm going to go ahead and just add some of the white. Now I didn't want to use too much of the white here because I didn't know how much it was helping or whether it was just really kind of making the orange just, it wasn't going where I was wanting it. So I just added a bit of white. I ended up adding a little bit more, and I mixed as much as I could until I got like an orange that was just not as vibrant, but still vibrant, but like a little bit lighter. And I decided, you know, this orange would look like it would look really good with a purple anyway, so I just stuck with the orange. But my initial thought was to have more of like a peachy color, and in that case I would have had to add way less of the red and then more of the white. I think I should have started with white and then just gradually added red to make that peach color. But you know, this is how you learn. As I mentioned, this is a beginner-friendly video. I'll give you tips and tricks from what I've learned, but at the end of the day, I am also at beginner level. So it's part of the reason why I made this video. A lot of people think, oh, why do I want watercolor tubes? I mean, I'm not a professional here. Like, I'm not the greatest at it. So what am I going to do with it? So that's why I really wanted to show you this technique here, because even if you're not the greatest at creating your own painting, you probably are good at just dropping colors, which is all that I'm doing here. So I've taken one of the die cuts, I've added just a bit of a water wash in the center, and now I'm just dropping in that purple that I mixed with the phthalo blue. Then I'm grabbing some of that orange and I'm adding it to the outer edge of the petals. So this is step 1, put down one color. Step 2, put down the second. Don't let them touch. Now wet your brush and just add some of that water in between the two colors, and they will bleed into each other. Now you'll notice that I'm getting a bit of a muddy color here, and this happens when colors are on opposite ends of the color wheel. They tend to create like a mud color versus blending together. You want colors to be side by side on the color wheel for best blending. So the way to get around that is, as you're getting the muddy color showing up, just grab a paper towel and soak up that extra. And that's the only process we're really going through here. So just to reiterate, the process is step one, add one color, it doesn't matter which one it is, to the center or the outer edge. Add the second color to the center or outer edge, and don't let them touch. Make sure the two colors are separated. Then grab some water on your brush and make those two colors start to mix by adding it where the in between, where the two colors meet, right? And then as it starts muddying up, you can pull off any extra of that muddiness with a paper towel, dry, and then you can add the next layer and keep going like this. And even if it's not just the muddiness, maybe you added too much water to the center of the flower to deepen it or whatever it is, you can pull up any extra water this way. So you're really just working with the dilution of the watercolors and the amount of water that you have on your cardstock to allow for the mixing. So you'll notice that I did use a little bit of the red with the yellow to just add a little bit of orange to the side of the center of the flower, which, I mean, the rest was like yellow, but you'll notice that the opera lemon I have is very bright. So adding the toluidine red to it gives it like a deeper yellow color. And you'll see that on my palette, I have like a rainbow of orange to yellow there that I can use. Now for the leaves, I'm going to go ahead and just add a wash of water to all of the leaves. And then I'm going to add the phthalo green and the phthalo blue, that mix that I made. And I'm going to just put it on all of the leaves. Now you'll notice some of the leaves are darker, they have more of the watercolor, and some of them are lighter, they have less of the watercolor. So the trick with watercolors is what you want to do is balance the amount of water and the watercolor pigment, and also put the deeper colors on certain areas. Like for example, on the sides of the leaves, I'm adding more of the deeper green and stuff. And then also I'm adding a mix of that green and the purple that we had. And doing this allows the color from the petals to kind of match the leaves. It's just a tiny little bit of that purple we're adding, but it makes a huge difference in making everything cohesive. So as I was saying, what you're really doing here is you're playing with the amount of water that you have with the watercolor, because it basically lightens or darkens the color. And then you can also lighten and darken the color with the different colors of watercolors here. And what I like to do is add the water, a wash of the water to the die cut, and then just drop your colors in, and then darken up the areas where you want it to be darkened by adding a deeper color or more of the color that you have. And that's the process we do for all of the watercolors and all of the die cuts. And I was just hoping that by using the die cuts for this design, it just makes it easier for you, especially to use watercolors, because you're not dependent on actually creating your own scene. You're just dropping in colors to water on the die cuts. So now I'm going to go ahead and assemble my flower, which is really easy for this die set that we have. You add the 3 larger petals on the bottom, then the center of the flower, and then the rest. And then you've also got that outline of the flower, which I actually just did as a wash of orange. Instead of using all of that pigmented orange color that we had, I put water on that die cut, and then I just dropped a little bit of the orange in to give it like a lighter color, because it's going to create the highlights of the flowers. So you'll see I'm adding that last to create the highlights on the edges of the petals. Now we do have the 2 color tone here going on, so if you don't want to add that last highlight, that's completely up to you, and you can keep the vibrancy of that orange. And the instructions on the packaging are all I used to put this together. It was very simple. I've got a little bit of an edge just kind of sticking out because I don't think I lined everything up properly, but that's okay. I just used my small little Altenew scissors there and cut that little bit off. And there's another 2 pieces that do the highlight of the flower, which I'm going to add here, and you can see how gorgeous it looks in the end. Now, in my last video, I did stamp and heat emboss these sentiments from the One and Go set, the lovely sentiments set there, and I'm going to use one of those sentiments for this card. Now, I have a panel here, which is the Altenew Cosmic Berry cardstock. I'm embossing it using the Fruits and Flowers embossing folder. This was from the Craft Your Life kit from April, which is really pretty, and I just like the texture that it has on it, so I thought it would go well for this card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my flower there in the bottom corner using a foam adhesive. square, and then I'm gonna attach all of these leaves popping out around this flower, and I'm going to attach those flat to the panel using some liquid glue. Now, I like to use this technique. It helps me kind of position the leaves where I want them, and because I only added one piece of foam adhesive, which adds some dimension, I can also just kind of tuck these in underneath very easily. This is my favorite technique for arranging die cut flowers, and I think it really comes in handy because one, it adds dimension because you've propped up the main flower, which creates a foreground and a background, and then you're adding the leaves underneath, which just is just so much easier to just add some glue and stick it in. Now for my sentiment, I'm going to prop that up with some foam adhesive as well, and then I'm going to attach this to my card base, which is an A2 size side folding white card base. I'll attach this, and you'll see that I have like a little bit of white peeking through. I could just cut this off, but instead I'm going to keep this size, and I'm going to add just a small strip of black glitter cardstock just to give it a little bit more jazz, and it also ties in with the sentiment. And then finally, all that I have left to do with this card is to really jazz it up. So I'm going to add some of these Altenew gems that we have, and I think like this lighter peach color is going to look really nice. This set is called Red Jasper, and just like everything else that I'm using in this video, I'll have the supplies linked down below, and I also have that special promo exclusive code that you can use if you wanted to grab some Altenew watercolors yourself. So let's get to that promo code. It's Deepa Colors, and you can just put this coupon code in and get 15% off of Altenew Artistry by Altenew watercolors from May 25th to 27th. You might have seen this deal already. The code has been reactivated so that you guys can make big on this deal, and I'm telling you, these watercolors are amazing. These tubes last you forever. It's a one-time buy. I do recommend giving them a try and seeing how it goes. And please do like and subscribe to my channel because I'll be sharing some more videos using these watercolors along with a bunch more inspiration from various companies including Altenew. Thank you. Have a great day, and bye.